great-great-grandfather who was the person that was in the tunnel with me when I was going up the dark tunnel.
Oh,
And so
wow.
that should be added within this next month. So kind of
That's
brings the story to an end of, what I
absolutely.
didn't know at the time, because I found out later on, my cousin said, "Do you think this is him?" And it was. So it's fun to see the picture of him and know that even though I didn't know him in his life, he's with me when I needed him.
What I did recently, as I just mentioned to you, with Vincent Tolman and seeing his grandfather.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating because people don't realize that there's actually a confirmation that could take place with an experience that you have in the spirit realm. So it's like completely mind-boggling, like to say, "Wow, that's just what you think," and then now to have a photo, that's great to put the picture in.
And he looks just like I would expect. Like to me, he looks like Abraham Lincoln, the similar features kind of. So it's fun. I got a picture of Abraham Lincoln and put it next to
You
his.
mentioned you mentioned about your guides or having the guide that that's confirmed some of the things that you've experienced,
Mhm.
um, and being warned about certain things prior to actually doing them. You mentioned, I think,
Yeah.
once about driving or other things. And then we said before, you spoke about like how sometimes the guide isn't present, and maybe there's a reason for that. And did you
Yeah,
have
he's
a
pretty quiet right now.
yeah? Why did you think why did you think he's quiet? Is there a did you ever ask yourself that question?
I think the reason why is because everything in my life is changing right now. There's a lot of change that's scary, and I need to learn how to go through it on my own because whatever's coming is big, and I need to understand the reason for it.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's kind of a quiet moment to just sit in my beliefs and just see what happens.
right.
And whatever good is coming, I'm just going to embrace it. But I'm also, like I told you earlier, I always look for at least one miracle every day, no matter what it is, whether it's a blue sky or the birds chirping or.
Process,
So it's finally warmer where I'm at. And so I've been going outside into the sun a lot and
right?
just sitting out there reading a book. And I'll just take a few minutes and just watch the sky, and there's birds everywhere. So I'm watching the birds chirp and I'm feeling their joy.
Yeah,
And it's just being in nature to me is very calming. So today I'm going to probably go up to the mountains and just walk around the lake, one of the lakes. But
yeah.
yeah, I need.
Just the people who have this interest will naturally gravitate towards just having this connection with you right away. Or do they have different concepts of like of what they've not what they've experienced, but like probably maybe I would say the way they were brought up. But then again, it can happen here as well, where if you're brought up in a religious home, you may have a tendency to not believe in what the things that you've experienced.
Yeah, funnily enough, a lot of the people that reach out were of the same religion I was, and they're thinking of leaving. And so they want to know if it's okay to leave
Wow.
that religion. And I always say, like, it didn't work for me, but if it works for you, that's great, and I respect it. But the conversations that we've been able to have been really healing for me, and I think for them too. And so I've had people reach out also that have some of the same medical issues that I had, and they just want to talk to someone that kind of understands what they're going through because it's a very debilitating disease and they feel alone a lot of times. And a
Yeah,
lot of these people have not had NDEs at all, but they just enjoy watching NDEs. And so that's kind of the common denominator mostly.
it's for myself. Like I'm saying to myself, what made me interested in near-death experiences and being drawn to communicating on that subject? To me, it's fascinating because I think a lot of people have fear of dying.
They do.
And when they speak to somebody who they can talk to and they're in front of them, then they could say, "Wow, this person's brave because they went through this experience and they're here to talk about it." So, like to me, like I view you as very brave in what you went through and how you're able to share it and be here.
And it's funny because they don't need to be afraid of dying. And so that's always my main thing. Like we're not really dying. We're moving into an extra dimension that's part of this life, but better. And I think we're afraid of leaving behind our family and friends, but they follow once they get there. We're not alone.
Yeah. I recently told my mother, I said to my mother, just think of it as my father, as I've been sharing. Think of him, he's in college. He's
Yeah.
away, and he's not going to come back from his college until he graduates. And he has, you can communicate with him, but not on the telephone. You can communicate with him by talking and believing that you're actually hearing him or receiving signs from him. Feel like you lost an aspect of your life through this experience?
I definitely have less privacy, I guess.
Okay.
When you put yourself out there, you kind of lose that. but I feel like I'm still me, like I'm still the person I was, but there's also this expectation that people are watching, and so I need to give them the information. And sometimes I'm really tired, but someone wants to speak on the phone about something, and so I'll make sure that I make time for that
Yeah.
because there are so many people that are struggling right now. And if one person isn't as scared after, that conversation was worth it.
When I talk to you, I'm inspired. I get inspired because after the conversation, I say, "Wow, all right, things could be a little bit up, rough." And then you don't want to separate yourself from the person's story by saying, "Well, they're going through that, and mine's much better. I mean, it's easier." It's a matter of like walking each other in the same place,
Yeah,
giving
we're
each.
all struggling.
Yeah,
Everyone has
we're all
a
struggling,
story.
and
Yeah,
being authentic and admitting that part of it because people like separate themselves from people's struggles because they don't want to relate to it. So they want to say that I don't understand him or her because they're afraid to
yeah.
understand that.
And if you look on social media, everyone has this beautiful life. They're traveling.
Yeah.
They they're living their best life. And if you're not in that mindset, if you're struggling, you feel more alone. And so I wish that people could be more vulnerable and really tell what's going on in their lives to help
Well,
others.
I think the more the glitz and the glamour, sometimes the more there's the somewhat, you can't say emptiness, but there's a
Mm,
feeling that needs to be compensated for with certain things. And
yeah,
then when we see that or you see it, you say, oh, they really are having a good time. Well, they really are this. And
yeah,
it's just part of the human experience to sometimes think the grass is greener on the other side
absolutely.
until you realize it's not. Did you feel like you missed an aspect of your youth, so to speak? Did you feel
Yeah.
does that ever come into your mindset on the human experience?
Yeah. I mean, I got married at 18, got sick at 19, and I was 21 before I was healed. And so I I feel like I missed quite a few years of trying to just survive. I was in survival mode.
Right.
And then once that was done, I had my kids. And so there was never that quiet breath. I just went from, being sick to healing to being a mom. And so there's never a time to just be me. So now my kids are older, they're in their 20s. And so
Yeah.
I'm kind of circling back and thinking, okay, time for some self-care.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes. And I don't think people appreciate how hard life can be, but there's also little magical moments sprinkled in.
Situations in life. So did your situation make you become more hesitant in situations to stop and think? Did it change you with regards to the stubbornness, the feelings of like
Oh, I'm still stubborn.
still stubborn? Yeah,
So stubborn.
that's
I think I push harder than I would otherwise, and I don't stop to breathe a lot of times. I'm trying really hard to be better about that now, but I would always push through. Like I'd take the hardest path and push through it, and I felt like I couldn't stop. And like I'm so ADHD now, and it's probably from that. I don't know, but I feel like I have so much I have to accomplish that I don't have enough time to do it
yeah.
because I've been given the second chance, and it definitely puts a little bit of a burden on you because you feel like you're different and you
Do you,
know that you have certain things to accomplish.
do you also feel in some ways that time controlled me or the universe did something to me? Now I want to be able to control my life and slow it down and go at the pace I want without you know
Yeah.
that's the feeling I get. In other words, like, you try to control me with the way I had to feel and what you did to me, life did to me. Now I'm going to control myself back to life by saying I'm going to go at my own pace, but at the
Yeah.
expense.
And that's what I did last March when I just quit my job without one waiting.
Yeah, I think that's
It's
I
been a
think that's
year.
part of it.
Yeah. I got to a point where I thought I am so miserable at this job. It's ruining my life. Why am I staying? And I just quit.